Hey, it's Infuri here with just a little bit of a rundown on how to use this mod. First off, a lot of things I'm going to be going over are going to be in this notebook section under rules. I've numbered some of the things, and I also have a link to a YouTube video if you don't know how to play the base game. It's a really good YouTube tutorial on how to play Exodus Proxima Centauri, the revised edition. It doesn't have the expansions in it, but if you know how to play the base game, the expansions are pretty easy to incorporate. First thing, you're going to want to choose whether or not you're going to do exploration or not. The reason why I have this as the first option is it chooses whether or not to have the tiles face up or face down. So if you're not doing the exploration module, just say no, and then it'll come up with all the different game setup types. Minimal and standard will be the same length. It would be 7 rounds in a base game or 5 rounds in an expansion game. And then the long game is a larger map and can go up to 9 rounds in the base game or 6 rounds in the expansion game. The only difference between minimal and standard is minimal is a smaller map, so it encourages a lot more combat. So let's say we want to do a 4-player standard game. It will set up the map over to the right, and then dice will also come out and set to the values that they need to. All the Centaurian resistance tokens will go as well. Now, if you are planning on doing the base game only, don't hit yes just yet, which I put as a note right above it. You're going to want to place your home planet first, and I'll show you why. So if white player chooses their home planet, you see that they get Battle Carrier 1, Battle Carrier 3, Dark Raider 1, and then for their secondary planet, Dark Raider 3 and an extra population cube will appear down here. Now, the reason why I have it as Battle Carrier 3 and Dark Raider 3 instead of 2 is because if you're playing the base game, you don't have this entire right row of ships. You only have these 8 ships. So if you are doing base game only, this ship will disappear because you're only supposed to start with these 2. And this ship will disappear, and then you'll just need to bring your population cube back. So, but to show what happens if you accidentally forget to do that, like these other 3 players haven't chosen yet, if you say, yes, we want to do base game only, it will delete all the expansion stuff. You can see the, rule books, all the expansion materials have been taken away, the expansion bags. But now, let's say red player chooses this as their home planet, it's going to glitch out. And only do the battle carrier. It doesn't even bring the Dark Raider. The home planet button is still there. It's like half, so it's because as it's going through the script, once it hits an error in the script, because there is no Battle Carrier 3, it just stops executing the script. So you're going to want to make sure, if you are planning on doing the base game only, to make sure that all of your home planets are placed before pressing yes. If you're going to be playing with the expansions, it doesn't matter when, because those ships will always be in existence. After you've gone through all of those setup steps, this box will appear right here, which is to make combat a little bit easier. So let's say the red player is in combat. They have 6 dice, and the red player has 10 dice, all 10 of their dice. You can just combine all of the dice if you want and just drop it into the box, and it will randomize them and sort them. So it's just an easy way to see that red has 3 hits and white has 2 hits. And it does actually roll the dice as well, so you don't need to worry about rolling. You'll get a different result every single time. And if you don't want to deal with separating the dice out afterwards and giving them back to the players, you can just have whoever is the leader of the lobby just delete them all, because I did give all players an unlimited bag of their own dice. Now, if you do choose to use the exploration module, you will need to do a little bit more as you're exploring. So if we just do like a normal setup, we're clearly using the expansion, so it's not going to be base game only. So all the tiles are face down, and you notice that dice don't immediately come out from this planet resource die, because otherwise you would know, oh, this planet has a 5 die, this planet has a 3 die, so maybe I'm going to want to go to this planet first or whatever. But I do have all the planets locked in place, so if you do end up exploring a planet and moving here, you are going to want to unlock the planet first and then flip it over and then lock it again, and then you'll have to manually put your die on the planet. I'm thinking of possibly having similar hexes to this, just pull hexes out of a bag that has been randomized so that you can't see the names. Like you can technically see that this is a Keko, this is Wodan, this is Sol. So I am going to be working on ways to fix that. But as of right now, that's the way that I'm going to be having it work. Some extra scripting that I've done involves the hit point trackers and population trackers. So the top line, all guys start off with 1 hit point except for your battle carriers, because they start with this 1 shield, which is why this guy has 2 hit points. And they're allowed to have up to 3 population on battle carriers, but they currently have 0. So there are scripting zones. So if a shield comes into the warcruiser area, you can see that all the warcruisers now have 4 hit points. You can add or subtract hit points as you take damage. And if you take the shield off for whatever reason, if you're rearranging your blueprints, it will subtract from where you're taking it from and add to where you're placing it. And it does actually recognize if it's face up or face down, so you can see that this has the 3 shield on it. If you flip it over, it'll just be a single shield, and so they only go up to 2. All 3 of the spots for population have snapping points, so if you add population to the zone, you can see that the population on that ship goes up, which is useful so that if he is out here and these 2 are in the same space, this guy is more of a prime target because they can see how much population is on it without having to go all the way to the player board and ask that. If you're somewhat new or you just haven't memorized what every single technology does, just hover, you can hover over all of them and there's cards that have the names on them, but if you just stay on the technology for a second, it will bring up a little tip area so you can actually see what it does. I've done that with all of the base game technologies, all of the Edge of Extinction technologies, as well as all of these Event Horizon technologies. And the reason these have these black cubes on them is because some technologies are only available if you're using specific modules. So, if you're not using the Proxima Centauri module, then you won't need to worry about these 2 technologies. But if you do change the center hex to state 2 and you are using the Proxima Centauri module, then you're just going to want to take these 2 off, and now you can use the solar shield booster and the solar cannon booster. The help tips are not just available for technologies, but for all of the new planets that come in Event Horizon. Some of them are pretty straightforward, like the ones that produce both types of resources, but some of them you might not know exactly what this symbol means, so if you just hover over it, it will tell you what it does. The base game comes with 30 population cubes per player, but the reason why you only have 26 in your bag is because 3 of the cubes are supposed to be used to track resources, but I have these tracker tools to make it just easier so you don't need to worry about moving it up and down and adding, and you can just do it yourself. And then the 4th cube is supposed to track your victory points. It does specifically state in the rules that if you do get above 20 points that you can use any substitute to count as the 20, so I just made an extra one. And if you're using the expansions, you can just search the expansion bag for the extra population cubes that come with Edge of Extinction, and then those are available as well. Speaking of the other bags, we've got your base game bag, which has a base game turn overview card, as well as the 6 action cards that everyone has the same exact 6 action cards, as well as a ship movement card. So movement is supposed to be hidden in this game. Normally the way they do it is by putting down tokens, like this is the 1 direction, this is the 6 direction, and if you've got 3 engines on a specific ship, you put down 3 movement tokens on it, being like they're moving in the 1 direction first, then the 2 direction, then the 1 direction. Instead of doing that, if you just wanted to say, hey, I'm moving to Balder, Warcruiser 1 is going to Balder, Warcruiser 2 is going to the High Council hex, and then you just click off, flip the card over, and then bring it to this general area. Everybody's cards are different colors, so once red player's done doing that, the back of theirs is red, and when you're ready to reveal all of your movement, everybody just flips over at the same time. Now the base game only has these those 8 ships, 2 of each ship. There is also a note card in the expansion bag. It has all of the ships that the expansion gives you, so 4 war cruisers, 4 dark raiders, 4 fighters, and 3 battle carriers. So you'll just need to flip between page 1 and 2 over here. One thing to be careful of is the first time you click on the note card, everything gets highlighted. So if you just start typing right away, everything will get deleted. So that's why you got to click on it once and then click on it until you see the cursor going right there. And then you can just type Balder like that. There are 3 different turn overviews. So there's the base game turn overview, in that there's the one that I have already on the board for everybody, which is from BGG for Edge of Extinction. Just a quick overview on like the number of combat cards people get and like setup guidelines as well. And then also in the expansion bag, I have the Event Horizon turn order summary. So you can shrink this if you want. You can press Alt to blow it up. Do it however, like you can delete this one and cover it up. I think that's why I had it the size that it was. It is double-sided though. On this side, the white and blue text only. Any white text is standard from the base game. Any blue text is from Event Horizon. And then if you flip it over, any red text is Edge of Extinction. Also on the right side is where you're able to place your jump gates and your communication satellites, and it tells you how much those are worth if you're using those modules from Event Horizon. The expansion bags also have the player cards for each specific faction, and not only that, it has the Kickstarter exclusive, so there should be 3 extra cards. I believe it's all the once per game cards are the Kickstarter exclusive ones. And then any other bags in there, like the hyperdrive tokens and spaceports, are specific to the red player. So if you ever need to use those things, you've got a bag for that as well. And your player board tells you how much those upgrades cost. The only exception to that is the SDS tokens. The white player is the only one that has advanced SDS, but yellow, blue, and purple are all able to research regular SDSs, which is why there's a brown bag over near the upgrades that has exactly 12 tokens because they are finite. So it's first come, first serve for those 3 player colors. And that's why they don't have an individual one in their expansion bag. Since you're able to track hit points and damage on the actual ships themselves, the only reason why we have damage counters in an infinite bag is for the resistance. So if you're fighting this resistance and you need to do, 4 damage to kill it, I have the bag just right next to all the resistance cards for that purpose. As far as voting goes, I gave everyone a vote token bag, so if you're secretly voting for the political decision of C, you just put it in your bag and bring it over here, and we'll simulate kind of hidden vote for C, and then just pull it out of the bag once the votes have been revealed. As far as bidding CP is concerned, for either increasing your bid on this or for the turn order track, whenever you hit enter bid, it will say that this player has entered into the bidding. If I hit submit right away though, since I'm the only person that has entered into the pool, it will just immediately start the countdown. So it does the countdown and then it announces the bids of everyone. So you got to wait until everybody clicks enter bid. So if we're playing a 2-player game with red and white, now we've both entered, so now it's safe to actually click submit bid. So he does 4, they do 2. It's only going to go by player name, so it's going to say Sin Fury twice, but hopefully if you're playing with different people, you should all have different names, so it will announce that down there. And then you can change turn order with these tokens, these colored tokens that are specific to the faction. And the last thing we have is the scenario bag and the Event Horizon modules bag. The first one is just a rule book for playing the solo game that is shown in Edge of Extinction, although technically it's base game only, so you won't be using any expansions for that one. And then there is the Event Horizon scenario and the Centaurian Stronghold scenario. Each of these bags just has any tokens that you'll need for that specific scenario. So the Star Evolution tokens and the Increased Heat tokens for the Event Horizon module. And then all the 10 modules for Event Horizon are named. So you've got Module 1 bonus actions, Module 2 Centaurian Resistance, and each of these module bags will not only have the rules for them, but any necessary tokens that you need. So for the Centaurian resistance, this tells you the strength of the resistance tokens, and you can change the tokens out here just by changing the state. So changing it to state 2. All level 3s become these orange strong Centaurian resistance, and all level 1 and 2s become the normal, the regular Centaurian resistance. So you can just hit page down, page up to flip between the two. If you want to. That's, you know, one option for that module. And yeah, so all the 10 module bags have everything you need. So you've got, you know, white's communication satellites, purple's communication satellites, and then the rules on how communication satellites work. If you don't like the way the rules look, I mean, you can press Alt to blow it up, but that's why I also have all of the rule books over here: base game, first expansion, second expansion. And the Event Horizon rulebook is actually pretty nicely laid out as far as each module section, so it's not too hard to read. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy playing.